Welcome to Phenaxcrank. Hope you're excited for some Tezzeret activations. And as far as our opening hand goes, yeah, we're going to keep on this one. I love pretty much as long as we've got at least one or two land, or at least two lands. The Contraband Kingpin is it's just such a fun thing to play in this deck. So let's go lead off with Scalding Tarn. Let's go ahead and get ourselves a black blue source. So that way we can preordain. Let's go ahead and grab this Underground Sea. Let's go for preordain. That way we can get the double scry, the double scurry, the double fever, the double insanity. Do we want another Tezzeret 6-drop? Yeah, let's go. That is not going to really help us out. Dark Slick Shores. Yeah, it's not bad to have an extra land like that. So anything else, we're going to go and pass the turn over to our opponent. But we are playing Phenaxcrank. We're ready for some Tezzeret. Indestructible Devotion 7 turns into a creature. Then creatures you control have tap. Target player puts the top X card to their library, where X is this creature's toughness. Playing against Omnath, Locus of Rage, the official Mr. Road Rage, Omnath himself. So, landfall, whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, create a 5/5 red and green elemental creature token. Then, whenever Omnath or another elemental you control dies, Omnath deals 3 damage to any target. So, let's see what we rip into. Creeping Tar Pit. So we want to get Contraband Kingpin down. We do have a ton of artifacts in here, so hopefully we can start to run into some of those artifacts and generate some really nice card advantage. That's a pretty good feeling with Contraband Kingpin. And then anything else, we're going to go and pass the turn over to our opponent. We did cover both commanders. Let's give a quick shout out to our sponsors, MTGOTraders. If you want to get your Synthwave on and head over to MTGOTraders for some Tezzeret activations alongside some Neon, head on over there. And also, if you want to check out my my merch booth, I've got a merch booth set up over at inkgaming.com. You can use coupon code JOLT to get 10% off your order, or simply just search JOLT539 to find the actual merch booth itself. And last but not least, I started a Patreon. So if you'd like to contribute to the Patreon, there's a link down in the description below. Get your name at the beginning or the ending of the credits. And if you cannot do that, hey, no problem. Just tell somebody about the channel. I would greatly appreciate it. So opponent's going to go for crop rotation into Valakut. And that is going to be 2 mountains on the battlefield. So we've got some time on that. And, ooh, there we go. Run into Pithing Needle. So at this point right now, we definitely want to go for Pithing Needle because that's going to be an extra. Well, we don't have to go for it just yet. So let's just hold on the Pithing Needle. So let's go for Creeping Tar Pit. And they've got 1 card in the hand. I feel like we can just go for Dustmantle Guildmage. And even if we lose Dustmantle Guildmage, it's not going to be the end of the world. So let's go for Dustmantle Guildmage. There we go. Going to have Dustmantle enter the battlefield because what ended up happening is the main reason this deck is, and actually now that we've made the land drop, I'll kind of explain what this deck is. You think Phenax, you think Mill. So my favorite combo is Dustmantle Guildmage and Mindcrank. I love it. It's one of my favorite decks to play in Modern. I haven't played in a long time, but it's one of my favorite decks. And so I wanted to build a dedicated Mindcrank deck in Commander. And so with Phenax, that gives you instant speed access to get the combo going. With Dustmantle Guildmage and Mindcrank. And then as pieces kind of started to fall together, I was also kind of like, hey, I want to build like a black-blue Tezzeret deck. I want to have a home for any new Tezzeret card that comes out. And so this is what came out of it. So we've got a Mindcrank Tezzeret deck, and unfortunately there's no legendary black-blue Tezzeret commander out there. Otherwise, Tezzeret would probably be the commander of the deck. And so this is basically just a Tezzeret commander with Phenaxcrank making sure that things don't get out of hand. Or if they do, we win right there on the spot. So we've got Mina and Dean swinging across for 4. That's going to put us down to 25. And we might end up just going for Mina and Dean. Yeah, because that'll allow them to start to go for a few extra land drops. I think that'll be a pretty good option. So let's see what we draw into for the turn. If we don't run into something good, then we'll just straight up, Pithing Needle. Okay, so we're going to go Pithing Needle. It's going to be Dark Slick Shores. Have that enter the battlefield. We're going to name Mina and Dean on this. And keep our fingers crossed that our opponent does not have, there we go, some sort of, there we go, Mina and Wildborn. There we go. Get that down. That's going to be a scry off of Contraband Kingpin. And then Sunken Hollow, we definitely want to put that on the bottom. All the lands are rushing to get onto the battlefield to see Tezzeret. We need some of them to chill out just for a little bit. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we're just going to have Fetid Pool. We could cycle the card, but we're on pace to go for Tezzeret, to go for the +2. He's not going to be the best Tezzeret, but I kind of like it. So anything else? No, let's just go and pass the turn over our opponent. Well, if they're swinging in, we're not going to be blocking, so we might as well just go and get in for 3. That'll allow us to get a lifelink damage, put us back up to 26. and then we'll go and pass turn over our opponent. So, but yeah, we got the Mindcrank combo in here. Outside of that, this is basically just your standard artifact, black-blue artifact Tezzeret deck. We got Torpor Orb in here. We have Spellskite, Sorcerer's Spyglass. Pretty much all the artifacts in here. The only crazy artifact that we do have is going to be the Lattice, whatever that card is, that turns everything into artifacts, because that makes for some really nice Tezzeret activation. So that's in here. Outside of that, it's just kind of like Board Wipe City. We do have the Chain Veil in here. That way, if we do get multiple Tezzerets going, because, you know, we get a lot of the Mox Opals, the Mox Chrome Mox, different things like that. Simply getting a lot of these artifacts down and having the Chain Veil to go for extra Tezzeret activations. I mean, just going for 2+2 activations is a very good feeling. So that's kind of why we have that in here. And it looks like our opponent's not going to swing in on this one, so I'll take that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They're online for Omnath. They can certainly go for that. Let's go for Island. Let's go for Talisman of Dominance, because that's going to make it a little bit easier for us to go for Tezzeret next turn. It's going to get that artifact count up. We're going to get a Scry, and we can actually go for Tezzeret next turn. Let's definitely put that on the bottom for right now. And then anything else? No, we're going to go and pass the turn. So we're looking at Tezzeret next turn. We can go for Phenax, so we might end up going for that, because if we end up going for Phenax, what's going to end up happening is that we can start to mill our opponent out just a little bit. And once you go for these Dustmantle Guildmage activations, even though you do want to combo off with Dustmantle, simply just, you know, pumping that first effect once or twice. Some pretty good magic right there. Other than what we... And nothing has trampled at this point, but it's going to be really hard for us to kind of do anything. So we go for Tezzeret. It's going to make it a 7, but Tezzeret's going to be an immediate target if we get that down. So I think at this point, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think we just go for Phenax. I'd really like to go for Mirrodin Besiege, but at this point, we need to get some stuff moving on our side. And so we're going to go for... have Phenax enter the battlefield. We don't have Devotion yet. That's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But once we finally do end up going for Tezzeret, that'll put Devotion on and make it a little bit easier, because next turn that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we can at least go for double activations, and then we're looking at 7. It's going to be 14 card. Yeah, we can be a very, very good chunk of damage. Now, as far as what going for activations right now, typically I don't like to mill unless we have to, unless we get some sort of effect, because I don't know if our opponents... Oh, well, that's going to be Scape Shift. Well, yeah, okay, so we're going to Scape Shift in response to that, because maybe we get lucky and hit a few mountains. Okay, I forgot about maybe we can mill out a few mountains. So let's go for Dustmantle Guildmage. Get rid of a few more. Okay. So now here's the thing. Now they can sacrifice some of these. It's going to be a lot of elementals on the battlefield. So let's go and let's see what they're searching up, and then we'll kind of talk about what they're doing. Okay, so it's going to get a ton of elementals on the battlefield. They will enter the battlefield tapped. So thankfully, we can still maybe get some stuff done. We'll see what's going to happen. So they're going to be swinging in for 9. That's going to put us down to 17. And I was going to say 15 for some reason. I've been recording too long today. And let's see what you run into. Run into Halimar Depths, which is not really what we're wanting to see. So I guess if we just end up going Tezzeret, that's going to cut us off activations. We can go for Mirrodin. This will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's going to give us 1, 2, 3. That's only going to give us 2 activations. And then we cannot stop those elementals next turn. So if we end up going Tezzeret, that's going to be X damage to each opponent, and we've got only 2 artifacts, so it's going to put them down to 23. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that's still not going to give us enough activation. So let's go for Halimar Depths. Let's going to be look at the top 3 cards of our library. I don't think there's anything we can do. Yeah, that's definitely not what we want to see on top of our library. We'll grab Urza. And then we get down, we're going to have to get down Mirrodin, which is going to allow us to cash in some extra artifacts, but we're not going to be able to stop this. So, all right, so we're going to go for the... because that's the easiest way for us to get Devotion and still be able to go for an activation. So there we go. So we're going to have Mirrodin Besiege enter the battlefield. We're going to name Mirrodin on this one. That way we can get some artifacts, but we know things aren't going to be looking that good come late game. And so we're going to go and let them swing in because they've got more than enough to deal. Well, we'll go and pass the turn, then we'll go for the activations during our opponent's turn. Well, actually, if we do that, then they're going to be able to do this. So let's go for the activated ability. So you can see where if we had enough mana to go for this, I'm just going to kind of show off what's capable with Deathmantle Guildmage. So whenever a card's put in a graveyard, they're going to lose a life. So we go for Phenax. That's going to be 7, and that's going to be 7 life loss. That's going to put them down to 18. It's going to always yield to that. We go for Deathmantle and the other one. So you can see, just had we done double activations, if we had enough to go for those double activations, would have been able to close this one out. But this is Magic. Opponent was able to take advantage of a really nice just value scape ship with some elementals, and then we'll go and tap down Creeping Tar Pit, and then pass the turn over to our opponent. So this game would have been a little bit differently had we run into some, something like Mana Crypt or Soul Ring to kind of power out Tezzeret a little bit quicker. But you can see this is what the deck's trying to go for. Either go for some good Tezzeret stuff. If we can't get the Tezzerets down, even if we don't go for the Mindcrank combo with Dustmantle Guildmage, we can at least just get some activations off Dustmantle. And you can stack those effects. That's a pretty cool thing about this card, about Dustmantle, is that you can stack them. So if we get to 9 mana, we simply just tap down Phenax, and that's going to be a ton of damage. So, but good game to our opponent, and they're going to be able to get in on this one. It's always nice to get beaten by the Omnath Road Rage crew. And then shout out to our opponent. So there we go. All right, they're going to be swinging across. That's going to knock us down to a big negative number, negative 22. I'll definitely be recording more Tezzeret. If you have any suggestions for the deck, let me know. My main concern is I'm keeping Tezzerets in here, and I want to keep the artifact count high. So if there's any sort of artifacts that I missed that you think might work in here, let me know. Hop in the comments. So if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye. Welcome to Phenaxcrank. Hope you're excited for some Tezzeret activations. That's the name of the game with this deck. As far as our opening hand goes, yeah, we'll keep on this one. There's if we wanted to be super aggressive, we could mulligan, but we've got Cyclonic Rift, we've got a counterspell, we've got Torpor Orb, which is definitely going to shut off any sort of the battlefield effects from our opponent. Let's say Reclamation Sage, something like that. So we'll definitely keep this opening hand, and we've got Thirst for Knowledge, which is a wonderful card draw option in this deck. So, excuse me, my production assistant Dorothy is sleeping under my desk. I just went to go extend my foot and hit her. Well, not that hard. I just got my foot. Oh, there we go. Look at that. This is a Mindcrank deck that we try to get the combo going if it happens, but it just fell into our lap. So that's something that we're going to keep in mind. Let's kind of put this one over here off to the side, let them kind of talk about how this game is going to play out. But yes, welcome to Phenaxcrank. This is Tezzeret Artifacts right here. So we're playing Phenax, God of Deception, as the leader of the Tezzeret gang. Indestructible, Devotion 7 turns into a creature. Then creatures you control have target player tap. Target player puts the top X cards of their library into the graveyard, where X is this creature's toughness. Playing against Lord Windgrace, +2 discard a card, then draw a card. If your lane card is discarded this way, draw an additional card. Then for a -3, return up to 2 target lane cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. -11, destroy up to 6 target non-land permanents. Then create 6 2/2 green cat warrior creature tokens with Forest Walk. And if you're still keeping score at home, Lord Windgrace can be your commander. He's in the command zone. If you didn't believe me, told you. So we want to make the land drop for the turn. We don't want to push past this. So let's go for Flooded Strand. And we can go for Torpor Orb, but I think at this point, I kind of like leaving up a Counterspell. Hopefully we can catch maybe like a Cultivate or a Kodama's Reach. That would be pretty good for us to kind of set them back on mana and give us the option of hopefully drawing in another mana rock. So let's see what they're going to go for the turn. Undergrowth Champion. If it would be dealt damage, on put a +1 counter on it. Put a +1 counter. Okay. That's not too bad. Yeah, I think we'll let that go through. So whenever a lane enters so we actually just go for Torpor Orb next turn. That's going to allow us to kind of stop that. So with our opponent not going for Kodama's Reach or anything like that, let's go for Torpor Orb. That's going to allow us to kind of stop that enter the battlefield effect. So it's going to crack this Flooded Strand. We're going to grab ourselves a Underground Sea. There we go. Let's grab that Underground Sea. Let's go for Torpor Orb. Now that still allows the landfall to enter the battlefield, but we're going to stop the creatures from getting the enter the battlefield effect. So let's go and have Marsh Flats enter the battlefield, and then we're going to go and pass the turn to our opponent. So we did cover both commanders. Give a quick shout out to our sponsors, MTGOTraders. We're going to get your very synthwave deck going on. Head over to MTGOTraders. They've got all the Tezzerets you may need and all the nice neon effects that you might be looking for. And also shout out to inkgaming.com. If you use coupon code JOLT to get 10% off your order, you can use that on anything on the website, or if you want to check out my merch booth, head on over to inkgaming.com. Search Jolt539 to see my playmats and my t-shirts, and check out the merch booth. And last but not least, I started a Patreon. So if you'd like to contribute to the Patreon, there's a link down in the description below. Get your name at the beginning or the ending of the credits. And if you can't do that, hey, no problem. Just tell somebody about the channel. I would greatly appreciate it. So with this Undergrowth Champion, what we might end up doing, that's a pretty decent clock. We might end up going for Cyclonic Rift just to go for the counter spell. Not super wild about that, but then at least gives us an answer to this creature that's just going to get bigger and bigger as they keep making land drops out of the graveyard. So let's grab Fetid Pools, because that's going to enter the battlefield tapped, and that'll put us on Spire of Industry next turn to bounce back that Undergrowth Champion, and that'll be pretty good for us. So let's see what we draw into for the turn. Go for the, or actually just draw into a Go for the Throat, which kind of answer our question. So there we go, I'll take it. And then anything else, we're going to pass the turn. So pretty much everything in our hand is instant speed except for the combo. We're not going for the combo right now. We could if we wanted to, but I just don't like leaving it out there. And also with combo, we're not trying to win as quickly as possible. The way I play combos in my commander decks, if I am going to be playing one, my main concern is that this is a break glass in case of emergency. You know, let's say that Lord Windgrace is down. We've got a lot of cat tokens for some reason. They just have been making a ton of land drops. We want to have some way to kind of safety valve shut the game off. And so that's exactly what Mindcrank and Dustmantle is in this deck. Now, the main core concept of this deck is to basically go for a bunch of artifacts and get a bunch of Tezzeret activations. And that's our main game. That's our main focus. And so, but if we need to win the game, this is what it's over here. So thankfully we have it in our hand, and we're going to have a pretty nice little tempo play. And this is not an artifact creature, right? Yeah. Yeah, Go for the Throat. It's going to be black and then Spire of Industry. So it's going to get rid of Undergrowth Champion. That's going to allow us to go for Thirst for Knowledge next turn if we don't hit the land drop, which we'll probably end up going for that. So let's see what we draw into. Draw into Swamp, okay. We could go for Phenax, but yeah, let's go ahead and go for a Thirst for Knowledge, because what this is going to allow us to do is maybe dump a few more artifacts out, or maybe we could find a Tezzeret. Oh, there we go. Tezzeret. Now we're getting somewhere. Let's discard 2 cards. I do like Cyclonic Rift. Yeah, so I guess if we have to get rid of 2 cards, it's going to be Weird Invention, and we're going to get rid of Bloodstained Mire. Yeah, that'll be it. All right, so we're going to get rid of those 2 cards. And then anything else, we're going to go and pass the turn to our opponent. So we could go for Mindcrank, but like I mentioned, if we're running into some sort of artifact or enchantment destruction, we want to make sure that, for the most part, we can set up the win the turn that we're going it for. So we're going to go for Tezzeret next turn. We're going to try to get these Thopters down to start to go for these Tezzeret activations and kind of go from there. But yeah, as far as the Tezzeret deck, I did make a few changes. We have Titania. It's not a lot of fun, especially with Bloodstained Mire. So we'll need to find an answer for that, because with Titania, when you're making land drops like that, you get a lot of those elementals. It is that is not good for us. So, especially if we're trying to go for the Tezzeret win. So we'll see what we can get into. But yeah, as far as the deck goes, I kind of put a few more artifacts in here, kind of increase the number of board wipes. So if we do run into Crux of Fate or Damnation or something like that, that'll really help us out. So, and as much as I hate to go for a combo, we might end up having to go for it. If we're staring down Titania with Bloodstained Mire out of the graveyard, I think we might have to do that. Okay, so let's do this. So let's go for River. We're going to have River enter the battlefield. Let's go for Mindcrank. Yeah, we'll do it like this. So we're going to have Mindcrank enter the battlefield. And then let's go Dustmantle Guildmage. So once we get this down, and we got lucky with this. We got this in our opening hand. So if we end up comboing off, it's not exactly what we want to go for, but that's going to allow us to mill out just a little bit. And so The only downside is we need 3 mana to go for the combo. So if you don't know the Mindcrank combo, Mindcrank says whenever an opponent loses life, that player puts, let's get this moved over, there we go. Whenever an opponent loses life, that player puts that many cards from the top of their library into their graveyard. Okay, so that's one side of the puzzle. We have Deathmental Guildmage. Whenever a card is put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, they lose 1 life. So keeping score at home, Deathmental Guildmage says, hey, if they lose a life, put a card in the graveyard. Somebody says, hey, a card got put in the graveyard, lose the life. It's going to create a loop. A loop that's going to basically just keep happening, or even something like that, paying a life. That card goes into the graveyard, so once we activate Deathmantle Guildmage in response to that, that's basically just going to mill them out. Now, if they have an Eldrazi, that's fine. It's going to shuffle stuff back in, but they're still going to lose that life. And so what's going to happen is 2 things are going to happen. They're either going to run out of life, or they're going to run out of cards in their library going to the graveyard. So even if they do have that shuffle effect, the combo is still going to happen because eventually they're going to run out of life. Now, if they run out of, let's say they have Phyrexian Unlife, they can maybe stop this from happening somehow. You can mill them out. Oh, there we go. We left it all on there. We can actually... Yeah, we went for it. We had to go for it. So, all right, they're going to be able to stop the Deathmantle Guildmage. If they don't, we're going to win next turn. So that felt pretty good to at least kind of force that from happening. So that's going to be Tectonic Reformation. We can still end up going for Tezzeret. Maybe we get lucky and get ourselves a extra artifact, a cheaper one, so we can get some card draw going. But a board wipe would certainly be good for us at this point right now. So it's going to put us down to 18. And let's see, but yeah, if we untap next turn, basically we're going to be able to combo off. So we kind of had to force that issue. So Tectonic Edge, and that's going to be 5. Man, that's 15 points of damage right there. That is a big chunk of damage. I guess we just go for a card draw. Yeah, let's go for Tezzeret. So we're going to have Tezzeret into the battlefield. At this point, we just really need to go for some card draw. So we're going to draw 1 card draw. We'll go for 1 card draw, and then hopefully Psy, which yes... Not super thrilled to be seeing Psy. Now, we do have a little bit of an option. We can bounce one of these elemental tokens back with Cyclonic Rift in hopes of catching another board wipe. So if we can find an answer for Titanium, I will definitely be in a pretty good spot. But we'll see what we can do about this. But yeah, with that Deathmental Guildmage, I love that combo. It's pretty much the only combo that I run in Commander outside of like some Splinter Twin stuff. And it just feels good. It's really hard to disrupt. Pretty much the only way you can disrupt the Mindcrank combo is by getting rid of actual Mindcrank itself, because that's the only way to stop it. Once we go for the Deathmental Guildmage activation of that first one, that's good. You know, you can stack 8 Path to Exiles on Deathmental Guildmage. It's not going to do anything because that's like a static effect. We've activated and it's good to go. So once you get rid of Mindcrank, though, that's the only way to kind of keep that other piece of the puzzle on the battlefield. So that's why it's really important to where if you're going to go for the Mindcrank, you want to combo off the turn that you're getting them down, because you can see what happened is they were able to Toxic and get rid of Deathmental Guildmage. So let's go and cast Cyclonic Rift on one of these tokens. We don't want to give our opponent the option to bring back another one. So that'll buy us a little bit of life. That's going to put us at 8. I'd hate to lose to a Lightning Bolt or something like that. So they're, oh, and excuse me, they're swinging in at Tezzeret. So it's going to get rid of Tezzeret, and then 1 was swinging over here. So I thought they were swinging in our life total to put us down to 3. So maybe you might have sequenced that one just a little bit differently. But either way, we need to get rid of some of those Tezzerets. So yeah, had we Cyclonic Rift on the token that was swinging in at Tezzeret, we would have been in a lot better position. So sorry about that. It's one of those, I just assumed our opponent was sending the entire crew at us. So a little bit of a misplay on my part. I do apologize about that. But, you know, some of these decks, you know, I hadn't played them in a long time. Still got to get a feel for how they handle once we have them on the battlefield. So this deck is definitely kind of one of those. You need a lot of stuff to kind of go your way sometimes. Ooh, Demonic Tutor for a board wipe. That is beautiful. All right, so that's what we're going to go for. So let's go Demonic Tutor. Yeah, man, this would have been a lot different had that not happened. But hey, that's Magic sometimes. You don't get a little loose with your gameplay, and your opponent's going to be able to capitalize on that. So that's exactly what happened. So at this point, we can still end up grabbing Damnation. So I think that's what we would end up going for. So where they are, let's grab Damnation. Let's go and clear the board out. There we go. It's going to get rid of Titania, get rid of the Elemental. This is going to buy us some time. So we can rebound from this. We've got Psy. We can actually sacrifice 2 artifacts. If we actually end up getting down Psy next turn, we might end up sacrificing Torpor Orb and Mindcrank. We'll just kind of see what's kind of happening. But yeah, for that, I still kind of like Topro in this deck because it shuts down a lot of things. So that'll be definitely a last resort play. But yeah, had we bounced the one of the elementals back with Tezzeret, that would have been a little bit better because then now we would have gotten the spot to where once you get down this Tezzeret for this deck and you go for that 0 ability and you have those 3 artifacts and you're drawing 2 cards per turn, it is such a good. We've got Deed, which is definitely not something we want to see in an artifact heavy deck like this. So let's see what we can do about this Deed. Okay, so they're going to end up getting rid of all the artifacts. That's fine. Going to hit the reset button. The -11 from Lord Windgrace is something we do want to keep in mind. But at this point right now, we're just kind of, I think we're just both kind of going for value piles. Okay, and that's going to be Wayward Swordtooth that definitely does have the city's blessing. So let's see what we draw into. Ooh, draw into Urza and Psy. 1, 2, 3, 4. We can actually get down both. These are like the 2 main artifact things that really help us out in this one. So let's just go for Urza. Now, unfortunately, we don't have the board state to support this right now, but I will certainly take this. So let's go for 1 blue mana. If there's 2 creatures we want to rip into to bounce back, this is definitely it. So we're going to get a construct token on the battlefield. Let's go for Psy. So we're going to have Psy enter the battlefield, and then anything else, no, we're going to go and pass the turn. So at this point, we're going to be hoping for some sort of card draw at this point. We need to get some sort of action in our hand going. If we can get another Tezzeret, that does help, but the main thing with this deck is we need to get those activations going with artifacts on the battlefield. So we do have Creeping Tar Pit. We can start to swing in at Lord Windgrace just to kind of keep it in check. That is a very expensive way to keep Lord Windgrace in check. Basically going to be 4 mana a turn. And so if we're doing that, we basically want to get to the point to where we're getting a lot of card advantage if we're going for the 4 mana activation per turn. So we'll kind of see what else is going to happen. We've got Omnath coming down, which I like that, like, this game, we're just trading a lot back and forth, even though our opponent's definitely in a better position. I mean, look at this Omnath, just turned into just like going to be basically a Merit Lage token in no time. Oh yeah, and then whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you may have target player lose. Oh yeah. Oh, they're gonna get it on Nixilis. Good game to our opponent. Completely forgot about that. That's pretty sweet. They're gonna get it on this one. So good game to our opponent. We're not gonna be able to bounce back from that, but that's how the game goes. And being able to close it out with Omnixilis after a board wipe, and we threatened our opponent with Death Metal Guildmage combo. They're able to take care of it. They took care of the enter the battlefield effect with Deed. So very, very well played by our opponent. And this is a wonderful showing of Lord Windgrace. So if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye.